Hi guys, welcome to the Filmmakers Hangout Podcast. I am your host Brandon, and next to me is my co-host.
Good morning, noon, and night. I'm Landon.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm
And
watching.
in the studio today, we actually have two guests with us. We have Nathan and Will. Gentlemen, feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Nathan.
You didn't do your standard greeting, hi.
Because he didn't say hi. Oh, hi is only immediately responded from.
Hi, Nathan.
Okay.
Okay. Tell the audience a little bit about yourselves. Like, what do you do on the film set?
Primarily directing.
Okay. Other than everything.
I was going to say whatever everybody else isn't doing.
There you go. That's almost. Yeah.
I do everything: producing, directing, camera, sound, and then the whole post-production, editing, color, sound again.
Very good. Literally the filmmaker.
Yeah,
I specialize
He's the
as a
guy.
generalist.
he's the Nathan.
Yeah.
He's
The
the Nathan.
Nathan.
He's the Nathan.
We're just going to start that thing.
Oh,
The
why not,
Nathan.
right? If Cadet can be the man, he can be the Nathan.
Right? Anybody doesn't know Cadet Fowler? Have you guys worked with him yet?
No.
No. He was like,
Super chill.
for some reason, always on sets. He's been a director, gaffer, grip. He's always been there doing something.
Yeah.
But he's got like this full attire, black all the way down, but it's got like all the pockets in the coat and stuff. But for some reason, every BTS shot we ever got, his face was obscured somehow. So we became known as the man.
Yeah.
Until more recently. And
Yeah,
then
that was-
he's actually become,
He's the Cadet.
yeah, Cadet now. So it was just funny that, he just kind of fell into that accidentally. And
And he took it and ran with it for a little bit.
right.
Actually, the last film we worked on, you probably don't like having on BTS photos, but most of ours got lost, and one of the only ones we have is him kind of looking back at the camera as he's changing a lens. All the rest got wiped out by ghosts.
And I have noticed, I've been able to work with Nathan a few times. I've worked with you on camera before. I've worked with Nathan a couple times, and I've noticed he does not like to be on camera
Not at all.
at all. And he
being a
will
camera guy,
ruin
he hates it.
BTS footage on purpose.
It's not that I ruin it. I just
He
actively avoid
right.
cameras. I have gotten better at
Right.
that, but when my first couple films were screaming at the Omaha Film Festival, so that would have been like 16 to 18, it was a game that me and other filmmakers
Okay.
had of trying to get pictures of me. And so that was a little bit more actively avoiding. I'd see the camera come up and I just kind of casually lean back, lean forward, just put something between
Some
me
kind of blur.
and just something between me and the camera.
Nice.
So is that still a game going on, or is it just you're programming now that you can't get out of it?
No, now I'm trying to actively get into pictures because I've found I don't have any candid pictures of me because I spent a decade or so actively avoiding it. But I still have the sixth sense of when a camera comes out.
So were you like the reigning hide and seek champion for those 10 years?
Digitally with pictures, yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. How good were you at hide and seek when you were a kid?
Don't remember. That was too long ago.
There's no photos to prove it.
I think that makes him a champion. Give him a trophy.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
So what going forward here for you guys, I know that you just got done with a project, The Gun is Full of Wine.
Yeah.
I said that correct,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Okay. I stumble on the way it's worded sometimes. I just got to watch it at Flatwater.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Our last episode was Christian. He was in that.
Yeah.
Did a great job. Our last episode before that
Z.
was in Denick that was in here, and he was in it as
Yep.
well. So it was a little weird that this whole month of episodes just kind of came down to being that movie in a weird way. Like, we need Jessica Johnson in here,
Yeah, or
You know?
Natalie.
Natalie too, yeah. So
So the title, the reason it's titled that, spoiler alert, there's a major prop element is a squirt gun loaded up with wine that they use to feed an 8-year-old. And the movie was based on a dream that I had, and that to me that was the weirdest part of the dream. So that's why it was the title. But every time I've shown the script to people before we shot it, every time I would show the script, the biggest comment wasn't, "Oh, why are they giving an 8-year-old gun wine out of a squirt gun?" It was, yeah, the Nazi Z. That's his character. Was a Nazi captain. Like, yeah, he was super friendly. It was kind of sad when he died. And like seriously,
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. Everybody was all like, I was like, seriously, you didn't think it was weird that there's an 8-year-old drinking wine? Like, oh, and then you I think you were the first one to say, oh, they're French. What does it matter?
Yeah, France, 1940s, all Europe,
Yeah.
1940s.
Yeah. Like the squirt gun is still pretty weird.
Yeah.
Like that was
Everybody's smoking, everybody's drinking wine.
yeah. So yeah, I came, but yeah, that's why it's the kind of odd title, is because that was the weirdest part of that dream.
The other thing is we got to be careful with it, like the weird thing about the internet these days and videos, audio is just the word gun. Water gun or not, they're just like, no. And it's like, okay, people, they exist. You realize that, right? They're in the world.
Just say pew pew.
Water pistol.
Right. Pew pew.
And yeah, bazooka
What's
can
it
still
in
be said
French?
surprisingly.
Le pistolet temp de vin or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try.
Aqua squirter.
Mechanic slingshot. I don't know.
What?
Mechanized slingshot.
Wouldn't that be like a trebuchet? More than anything.
Something. I don't know.
So on that set, what was like any moments that stood out to you as like your favorite moment on set, BTS or not?
The weirdest moment was the ceiling of my room because we shot at the Offutt Manor. Then they were really cool about letting us film there just for the price of renting a room, and the room is in the film. But I would stay there overnight, and there was a AC leak, and the ceiling split open, and it didn't happen when I was actually in the bed, but like right over the bed. It was
Awesome.
and that so Nathan was one of the producers on it. The other producer, Cindy Jones, afterwards was like, I know that house was haunted. Like I felt something then, maybe because most of our BTS photos got wiped off of the memory card. So
Wow.
Awesome.
but a favorite bit was it's just that's been the best set I've worked on as a director. Really, cast and crew gelled really well, and the experience went really smoothly. And we had enough time we could actually have some breathing space, because like that's a problem with working on the kind of micro budget films. You have to just
Right.
hammer through it because you only have 2 days or whatever. Here we had 2.5 days, and scenes that were kind of long enough that you could take some time to actually try stuff out or play around a little bit. So it's just the fact that everything went really smoothly, and it like even on set you could kind of tell that stuff was fitting together really nicely. So it was just kind of an exciting feeling to get when you're because I've had a good time on other sets. This is just like one where everything kind of
Gelled. Perfect.
and I haven't had that to that extent for a couple of years. So
Nice. Nathan, is there anything that stands out for you?
I just always like working with Will. He knows what he wants, and so when I show up to do cinematography or anything, it's just a matter of, okay, what's next? Just hit it one shot at a time, and it's just, he explains what he wants. And
Not sitting around waiting
execute
for
it.
somebody to come up with something.
Yeah.
and I didn't give you too many reflections to work around this time.
No, they're actually, I guess I will say that was the best thing, is there weren't a lot of reflections. Normally when I work with Will, I've got mirrors and lots of windows. The first project I did with Will, we were shooting in a restaurant that had 2 full-length walls of mirrors at a 90-degree angle. And so the whole time we were shooting, I was having to strategically move napkin holders so that the reflection
Was blocking
was
you in the
blocking the
reflection.
camera. So if you watch that, there's napkin holders that are not in continuity because there's a camera behind them.
Why is that napkin holder on top of the other napkin holder?
Like Like, if people are paying attention to that, there's other problems with the movie.
Right. Very much so. Now, you brought up a good term earlier, micro budgeting. What is your guys' view on that here in the area and in the community, and what's your process of going into it?
I just kind of think of it the same way you would think of community theater. Like, no one's going to get rich off of this. You have very little, if any, budget, so you're relying on stuff people have in storage or can get in kind or what have you. But so, yeah, no one's getting rich, but people who show up are showing up because they enjoy doing it. So, did that kind of answer your question?
I always thought like micro budgeting was, I think, the general community might not understand it, but like if you're making movies, I hated when people would say no budget filmmaking because to me, there's always money somewhere.
Right.
If it's either
either
in your time, it might not be being traded hands-wise, or like in Nathan's case, like equipment. You're bringing equipment to these films, producer or not, that's still in a budget somewhere.
Yeah.
So you might not be paying each other to do this movie, but in a weird way, like if we're telling, the general public what micro budgeting is, it's not saying, oh, let's make a movie for $200.
Right.
It's kind of like what you were getting at is what do we have that we can borrow, trade, and, tit for tat, back and forth, work together.
Yeah,
and a better term than micro budget filmmaking is resource filmmaking.
Yes,
term
I like that
I've heard used before, and it's just you're making movies with what you have.
Right. I guess like the one difference from the community theater analogy I brought up was most community theaters will at least have a theater which has a room that has props from accumulated years. We have whatever the people working on it have. Like, so he has
a
lights,
closet full of props.
Well, he has props, lights, camera. I have props.
Whose closet did the Nazi uniform come out of?
So we actually we did have some budget for Guns Full of Wine. I had saved up some money. And we were going to rent a costume. And when I called the costume shop, they asked for the measurements of the actor. And Z, he's bodybuilder.
Just massive.
So I gave them his kind of Schwarzenegger physique dimensions. And they're like, we don't have anything that fits. That costume is his own suits, some badges and insignias that we ordered off of Amazon, and the power of black and white.
Nice. Woo. Okay. All right. The power of ingenuity.
Oh, and the finishing touch was the hat, which was some of our props came from George Bolter, who's Frightful 4 Productions. He does a lot of the stuff at the Bellevue Berry Farm, like the Ren Fairs and the
like reenactment.
Ranch of Terror. I was trying to think of the name of it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Is there any projects that you guys are currently working on together?
Yeah. Why don't you? Because you initiated this one, so why don't you?
Okay. Well, since I get to start it, then it's a thriller that we're doing. If Will would have introduced it, it would have been a horror. It's an expansion of a web series we shot 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, the web series has become essentially proof of concept. And we're shooting it as a feature-length project.
The title is Truth and Darkness, by the way.
I was going to get that. Yes. It is Truth and Darkness.
Dramatic pause.
And it all got started with the premise of there's, monsters that we see every day, but we just don't have the willpower to see them as what they really are. For example, the homeless guy shuffling down the street is a zombie. Stuff like that.
Okay. So, what was the movie? Why am I blanking with Rowdy Piper and the glasses?
Oh, that John Carpenter movie from the 80s or the 90s that he made that?
They Live?
I think that was it, yeah.
Asking the wrong person. I haven't seen it.
It's not exactly that, I'm assuming, but it's a concept of that.
Yeah, and then he had written the initial web series, and for the feature, I've been writing the script from his story outline, and plan is he's the producer and the DP. I'm directing.
Okay. So are you guys going to have, like, when are you trying to go into production?
January-ish.
Okay. So are you...
Dumb because we're filming in Nebraska.
I was gonna say you're
January.
definitely gonna.
He
jump
saw
into some
over
weather
the fact that
complications.
we made a short film in the middle of winter when we had 2 blizzards back to back.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Yikes.
but that was a part of the.
Well, no. That I don't think I've ever told you this. The script did not have that in there.
Well,
I thought it was funnier
It's
yeah.
better.
Aesthetically.
A stakeout in the middle of a blizzard is a lot more funny than a stakeout when it's cold.
It's true.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, like if it snows, then we can have like the lights bouncing off the snow.
Yeah,
And, for anyone who's seen Suspiria, the 70s one, not the beige remake, that was kind of the visual
Okay.
basis.
The characters have a light theme.
Yeah, color scheme.
Color, light.
Yeah.
You're an artist, I'm a photographer. Have a light theme that goes with them. So it's not a very realistic looking setup because there's all these weird lights all over the place, but it's fun, it's different. It was a unique experience shooting the web series that way. So we're going to be doing it again on the feature film version.
Nice.
I think that would be pretty cool, actually. I like when stories can change it up enough that it's not distracting, so it's not the stacking or misplacing of napkin holders, but
Yeah.
to where it adds something that you don't realize is being added, but as an audience member, you're like, I like this. I don't know why I like this, but I really like this. So it's just that little extra that we behind the scenes can do stuff like that they don't realize.
Yeah. Well,
we're never going to get the pat on the back, unfortunately. But they know there's something there that makes them feel good about it.
My favorite way to for elements like that, when they were making Lord of the Rings, Sean Astin once questioned why a light was set up where it was. Like, well, that doesn't make any logical sense. Like, where's it coming from? And the DP told him, same place the music comes from. That's my approach to directing. Like,
I love that. That is awesome. That makes so much sense. That's almost like the whole. I watch a gentleman. He does like props and things like that. He's got a YouTube channel and things like that. Scott Prop and Roll. And the big thing in the industry, what they do when people walk up to them and say, "Oh, what are you filming?" The big industry joke is to say, "Oh, we're filming a mayo commercial, a mayonnaise commercial." So then people are just like, "Yeah, okay, never mind," because they'll just walk away at that point, which I find funny because like he just literally did a mayonnaise commercial for real.
Wow.
So it was the one time he didn't have to lie. But it's those kind of things that we get to do that we kind of get to mess with and have fun with. What is so fun with, we find our team members and things like that. What's so good about this, working together with each other? Is it just the fact that it's the unsaid, or is it the just being able to put up with each other?
He has gear. That
I know what my worth is.
That's we met the first time we met was when Prairie Lights Film Festival was still going on. They didn't have this. Did they have the script bank? That they either had the script bank or they had just retired it. Either way, I decided I had a friend of mine write a script and I was directing it. We needed more crew, and Cindy, the producer, put out notice and he responded to it. And he's like he says generalist, so he's good at pretty much everything. As the years have gone on, he's done more and more DP work, and he always says he's the technical guy. He's not the creative, but he's got a good eye. He's good with framing. He's good with timing, movement, and all that.
It's technical.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of.
It blends.
Yeah.
It does blur in because certain technical aspects, if your tools, especially being on the micro budgeting and things like that, you know what tools you have. You know how to work them and how to get what you're capable out of them.
I know what I can
if
do.
If they
and I know
don't
what I
work
can't
for a story,
that's the important part.
You know not to put that in your story then. So in a weird way, your technicality kind of helps with the story aspect as well. So the creative. So
and then he's all like producing. I do not enjoy producing very much. So the last couple of things I've worked on, Cindy and Nathan have both been the producers, so that's handy because there's the shorthand I always got taught was director makes the movie, producer gets the movie made.
Exactly.
And I'm not very good at getting stuff made, but once that ball is rolling, I can. And so I direct as a directing. I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I like being about being a director is you are the chief creative figure, so you're creatively in charge. But if I wanted to just do all this by myself, I'd write a book or I'd paint a picture. Like the collaborative nature of this is part of the fun, and we collaborate together really well. He will give kind of healthy pushback on do we really need to be in front of a mirror again, or can we put the frame from up here to down here or what have you. And at the same time, he's also good at tailoring his craft to fit whatever the overall concept of a film is. So we've just worked together really well the last couple of films, and we get along. So that's
always a good thing.
Because I've had one absolute nightmare experience working with a creative partner, and one or two kind of
getting along and putting up with two totally different things.
So it's
and
nice.
I think we've all had to deal with the whole putting up with.
So it's nice to be friends with people you're working with.
Yeah. He pretty much nail it.
Pretty much hit everything. Yeah. I mean, he wants to make films. I want to make films. I can't do everything by myself.
You got the gear. You could
have him.
I can
say
do
that
anything.
Again.
That's true.
I can't do everything.
That's fair.
There's a difference there.
That's fair.
And I mean,
put it on a poster.
Will's been doing stuff, so I work with Will a lot. There's other filmmakers I work with a lot because they're doing stuff.
Right.
So
so about the collaborating part of it, like one of the fun things for me as a director, like on a movie set, is seeing people doing their the part I enjoy the most is actually filming it. Like writing is because I do a lot of script writing. I don't necessarily enjoy the writing. I enjoy having written something. Which that George R. Martin's the one who phrased it that way. And then editing is tedious up until you get to like the bells and whistles part where you're doing color timing and music, that's the part that's fun. But the actual slogging through everything, like all your takes and all your files and so actually being on set, working specifically with the actors and the camera to suss out a shot or the shape of scene is the most fun part. But even like the rest of the crew, it's fun to see everybody doing their job, even though it's just like if you have one grip and their job is to help the DP and they're setting up the lights and like getting the boom pole in place and getting everything like when stuff's actually happening. Right. It's just kind of fun to take in and sorry about that.
How dare you?
It's just fun to take all that stuff in, and so I really don't like being on a set where there's a feeling that I have to do everything myself. It's kind of fun to set, okay, here's what we're going to do, and then everybody does their part of it.
It's actually kind of refreshing to know a filmmaker in this area that doesn't want to do everything. Okay, we've probably all worked with somebody that, again, like Nathan said, I don't.
You try.
So it's kind of refreshing to have somebody that comes in and goes, no, I want everybody else to do their job.
I think that's how Maverick is sometimes too.
Yeah.
He would very much rather anybody else do it.
Oh, yeah.
He just wants to call the shots.
Well, and I think
I respect that
it's
about him.
Well, like directing's a pretty hands-on job anyway. Like, yeah,
Right.
like you're working mostly with the actors on the camera, but that so like, when it's not like you're not doing anything on set. Like, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's kind of stifling to everybody else, and it's not really great for you as a director to just be like trying to do, every single last little thing. Like,
Some jobs can overlap. Directing is not one of them.
no, not at all.
No.
Yeah. Like there was one time it was in college. I was producer, director, and DP, and this was like just a 2-3 minute exercise. But once that was over, it's like, like I need a camera guy. I need a producer. I think this is not as much fun.
So I know that you have acted.
Mhm.
Have you acted ever?
Nothing I'm
He
going
doesn't
to
like to be
admit
in front of camera.
Okay.
Also, he doesn't like to be in front of the camera for BTS photos.
But hey, you
I
never know.
avoid acting to the point of I have a bright orange pair of shorts that I will wear to set
On
if I think
purpose.
there's a risk of the director tapping me. We need an extra.
Okay. So my question is more for Will then.
Okay.
So how serious have you taken acting? I know that we've worked
Yeah.
across from each other in a short film. Are you in it just because it's fun, or was it part of your whole creative process? And the main thing is I'm trying to ask is, do you think being an actor helps you be a better director?
So I wouldn't say I'm an active actor other than like the odd thing here or there. I was in theater in high school, and I did a fair amount of acting there. That was the last time I was kind of seriously trying out for stuff. And then in college, I was around the theater department a lot because I was at the Johnny Carson School, and it was still I think it's still called the School of Theater and Film, but they've segregated a little bit more than one out there. But I can still remember like the kind of the learning lines, marking up scripts, and learning all that. But yeah, having at least even like a school level of training in acting definitely helps with directing, because you've been on the other side of that process. And this is another thing. Even big movies don't really have a rehearsal period. That's not part of the film world for the most part. I wish that films had a rehearsal period equivalent to theater, so you could rehearse and try stuff out and kind of really get in depth with actors on like a motivation, blah 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 blah. But like if you've done any amount of acting, you have some experience in deciding, okay, well, how do I say this line? What's the right intonation? What's the right spin or the right phrasing of this? How much wiggle room do I have with the lines? Can I not necessarily improv, but if a certain word doesn't come out of my mouth right, can I change to or something like
Right.
Can I add stuff in the blocking? Like the one acting experience I can remember really strongly from school was well, there's two, but they were connected to the same part. My high school did the musical Brigadoon, and I was playing the old Scottish guy who tells the story. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Gene Kelly movie, but the guy that cast in that is basically the Quaker Oats mascot. And I kind of wanted to be a little bit more eccentric. And there were two things that really shaped the part. The costume crew had found this really strangely cut, like super flared out tailcoat. It was like a velvet tailcoat, this kind of candy, emerald, jade green color, like really wide lapels, and it was super tight, kind of pulled my posture super upright. And just because of how flared out the tails were and like how rich the velvet was on the costume, it's like, okay, this guy's kind of funky. And then when we're in the rehearsal, in the script, it says for me to deliver all the exposition to the skeptic from the outside world. And the director said, okay, no, that's in the script, but it looks really weird. Can you aim it at the guy who's actually going to stay in Brigadoon? Spoiler alert for if you've never seen the musical. But the fact that that character was described as delivering all that to the skeptic suggested, not even consciously, it suggested, like, the skeptic and this old Scottish guy who's the keeper of the story might have a little bit of friction, or so just in the rehearsal process, we kind of built that up, and the way not from changing that, but just the way we said the lines towards when I had an aside to him or he had an aside to me, and the blocking, like the way we reacted to each other, built up this relationship that's not necessarily on the page, but it got a lot of laughs when we were performing it. So that's something I always try to watch for. Like if an actor does something that, it was not in the script, but suggests something that you can build on in subsequent takes and like throughout the rest of the shoot, or if they say a line a certain way, or they bring in a certain costume, like just whatever it is, like those little things that they bring to it, or stuff that you can give them to work with, that can make something a lot more personalized and interesting and alive.
Bit of a collaboration.
Yeah, like I wish that there was. That's why I wish there was more of a rehearsal period, because you could do more of that on micro budget filmmaking. You have to be pretty bang, 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 bang. So you can't necessarily take a lot of time to feel stuff out. But I try as much as possible to give people space to find stuff, and to try even if it's an accident on set, if something happens that I kind of liked how that panned out. Give them that to work with. And I
think that with micro budgeting and what you guys did with like the proof of concept now, it kind of allowed for that to happen in a different way.
Yeah.
So now you don't have to initially do that as much in this one. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're recasting or not with this, but that way, if it's the same cast or similar cast, you kind of already went through that process already.
Yeah, and if you can work with the same people multiple times, it helps. So we've worked with Christian at this point a few times, Natalie, Christie we've worked with a few times, Megan Mills, who is the star of Truth and Darkness, we've worked with a few times.
Very good. So then now Nathan, you said you're kind of a jack of all trades within reason. If you had to pick only one thing to do on set, had to choose, what would be the one thing you would actually want to do on set, other than not be in front of the camera?
Well, then I'm going to claim producer at this point, because it's the producer's job to make it happen.
Nice.
And so, again, I guess that is my focus, is I just make things happen. And I mean, having done sound, camera, and having done everything, I can see problems. Problems are fun to me. It's a puzzle.
Right.
I enjoy the problem-solving aspect of filmmaking. So I would say, if I could just be the producer, make sure everything's running smooth, pick up on the little things that the director's missing. I don't think I've ever had to backseat direct you before, but I have worked with other directors that I have cautiously kind of stepped in and given direction.
You do have to remind me every time if people if we're cross-cutting people sitting down, to have them start the shot sitting down. Every DP I've ever worked with has given me the same note at some point where there's you say cut too soon. Like the second the line's finished, I'll yell cut, and because there's always the little gap where something might happen that you might need an editing or whatever. So every time I've tried to get better, that unsuccessfully, because partially just because we were so tight on time, partly because I get really excited when I feel like we got it. So I was yes, cut. And no, wait, let him finish, let him go.
Which is why I always tell the cameramen when I'm working with you and other people, don't cut when the director says cut. Roll until the actors break character, or it becomes ridiculously long after cut.
There was one time I did on Stakeout. I needed a reaction shot, and someone I don't know if it was deliberate or if they just forgot to turn the camera off, but there's a shot where Russell was just leaning up against the grill, and it was not an active take. It was he was waiting for us to set up the next shot, but that gave me a cutaway that I needed.
And I've done that as a cameraman before, especially, everything's digital. It's 5 seconds isn't gonna. And so I'm sure there'll be people listening to this that are screaming because I'm going to admit to doing this, but I will, if I see something that could work and we're between, I'll roll a couple seconds on it.
And that's the one thing I've noticed about local filmmakers, going to the festivals and stuff like that. The biggest thing I've noticed in the edit that gets forgotten about, and I think it's that whole time crunch, micro budget thing, is the B-roll, the inserts. There's not enough of it. So technically having someone like you on that project, you're giving them your editor, that insurance that they may not have realized that they needed until you got it. So then you kind of admitted that what he was doing.
Yeah.
I can't take credit for that.
Well, so you mentioned acting as a good, I think directors should have, I also think directors should learn about animation, because in animation you have to literally plan out every single frame beforehand, including any inserts or cutaways. And I don't necessarily fully storyboard every single script, but I do try and picture it in my head like it was a movie. Okay, we're going to cut to here, and what kind of inserts would we, even if I don't use them, what inserts should we get when we're filming? And while you're shooting, try to, partially, again, because of time, but also just so you have a sense of how it's going to look when you're finished, try to cut in camera as much as you can. Figure out, if you can visualize in your head, okay, this scene is going to be, mostly two people talking, and I want it to be kind of low and looking up at them and have a long take where their tension can build between the actors instead of through the editing. There's no point doing a lot of coverage up until the point where someone needs to look over at the clock, and then you get an insert of the clock, and then you can come back to the white. Try to figure out as much as you can what the puzzle pieces are going to look like put together, instead of trying to grab. I worked on a shoot once where the coverage got to the point where they were doing, you can do scene A, scene 4, and then it's 4A, 4B, 4A. They were getting into double P's, double Q's, double R's. That would drive me nuts in editing, having that much coverage to sift through. You don't have to have everything figured out, but just have enough of a picture of the.
I've been on sets to where it's not even scenes, it's takes.
Yeah.
And it's can we just format the card and start from this point?
Yeah.
Because we know this is the take you're going to want.
Yeah.
All the other stuff was nothing, right? If we're on take 58.
Yeah.
Hitting take 18 on the first shot of a film.
Yes.
And they went past 18. I stopped counting at 18.
Exactly.
I've never gotten what Kubrick was looking for when he went on one of those 500 take runs or whatever.
Could never be me. Yeah. That was scary.
Which is even harder when you think of that, because that wasn't digital.
Yeah. Although
that's actual physical film going. Okay.
I would say, if I could afford it, and if he would let me, I would be shooting on. I missed that. I only have to do that once, and I really loved it.
Awesome.
It's it's a texture thing. It's the difference between Photoshop and actual watercolor.
Right.
Correct. There's just certain things that it's dirty in the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that fake dirt. It's never the same each frame. It's not a filter that's put on there that's just repeated multiple times over after every 24
And also
frames.
I don't like when Blu-ray releases stabilize the film. Seeing a little bit of the weave of the film in in the gates and the spots where it's a little bit soft compared to you can get film to be super sharp, look at the Christopher Nolan IMAX stuff, but there's a lot of stuff from the 70s and 80s or the 30s and 40s where it's just not out of focus, but the image is a little soft, a little diffuse. And I've got a nice rounded
vignette
quality to it. Yeah. And the play of the colors against each other is really they're really strong, but they're not segmented in these sharp lines that kind of meld. So I really like that kind of stuff.
Well, I think right now would be a good time to get out of the filmmaking a little bit.
Okay.
And head over to the kids' table.
What's up?
With Landon.
How's it going? So, in case you guys don't know, the kids' table is a very unserious segment that we have here.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions that a toddler would ask you.
Okay.
Let's start with this one. I ask everybody, because this will tell a lot about anybody. What's your guys' favorite dinosaur?
T-Rex.
Okay.
Sure.
The extinct kind.
Damn, he just covered all of them.
All right.
All bases.
My communication with toddlers is normally an eye roll, which isn't going to play well on a podcast. But continue.
You can insert the eye roll in post.
Ouch.
Audio clip.
That hurts.
You're welcome. Top 3 animals that you guys think you could beat in a fist fight. Hypothetically. These can be living, prehistoric, fictional, whatever. I don't care.
Oh boy. Those would probably mostly end badly for us.
People are.
I'm gonna say
bugs and rodents, but then Christian also said
I'm gonna go with salmon, tuna, and trout because they have no arms. So yeah, they have no fists. So it's a very quick fight.
Well, top of my list is going to be cat. I have outboxed my cat on numerous occasions.
Okay.
Numerous being twice, because once she learned I was faster than her, she really didn't swing at me anymore.
That's fair.
And then, sure, spiders.
Dude, I'd lose the fight with a spider. Dude.
We're talking about they're like normal size. It's not like a giant spider.
Unless you want it to be a giant spider.
No. Then we're going to do, spiders and
normal
pick another
spider.
Insect.
All right.
Whatever.
Just pick another insect.
Pick another insect. Mosquitoes.
Sure.
I lose the fight with spiders and mosquitoes. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time. What invention needs its own movie?
I'd kind of like to see a movie on the invention of sailing ships.
Okay. Honestly, that could be interesting. I like that.
Invention needs a movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That you think needs a movie. I'm pretty sure.
Specific uses of inventions, movies?
Just the invention as a whole. Because I'm pretty sure Mike earlier, we had Mike Burns. I'm pretty sure he said OxyClean. Or something like that.
Well, then I'm going to go way outside the box and go, there needs to be a movie exploring the possibility of putting a giant electromagnet in the Lagrange point between Mars and the sun, allowing Mars to start rebuilding its atmosphere.
Do it. Put it on paper.
Okay.
All right.
I like it. He's coming up with a whole nother product.
Yeah. Let's go 2 more. Best karaoke song.
I sing as much as I'm in front of the camera.
Then best karaoke song to listen to.
Same answer. I'll leave the room when karaoke starts.
Okay.
I'm not a very...
Then favorite song.
I'm a huge Disney geek, and from my generation, the catchiest Disney song seems to be "I'll Make a Man of You" from Mulan.
That's fair.
I've not actually heard that in an actual karaoke bar, but anytime that's playing on the radio or on iTunes or whatever, people of my generation will start singing along to that.
Nice.
Even if they can't sing, which is the case with me.
Okay, I'll play to your question. Karaoke song is somebody else singing it, but in MythBusters, there's a segment where Adam Savage is doing karaoke to the Indiana Jones theme. And I believe he's riding on his little unicycle thing when he's doing it too. So
that's amazing.
Obscure pick, and I respect it.
And the funny thing is, you brought up MythBusters, and that's all I could think of is the coupling of you two.
Yeah,
it's very MythBusters.
Yeah.
You're just missing a beret and a goatee.
Yeah.
Or a very fancy mustache.
I'm close enough.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you get to be the cool guy. I get to be the walrus.
Well,
it's the dry humor.
Well, I've
you know what I mean?
I've compared us to Joey and Chandler from Friends. Me and Chandler.
I'm gonna have to watch Friends now.
Okay, so he the last time I was over at his house to talk of projects, he drew a Venn diagram of stuff I've seen and stuff he's seen, and it's 2 circles that don't actually touch.
I think I did amend that to there is a tangent where they touch.
But did you really watch Suspiria though? Because you watched it on fast forward.
fast forward because I didn't have to hear.
So you didn't really take in the movie. You just saw what it looked like. So at least we've managed to work together and communicate, having not seen any of the same movies and TV shows.
That is awesome.
Yeah, you guys work so well together.
That is so great.
And now I have one last
right.
one. This one's not very toddler-esque, but it'll get deep potentially.
Okay.
What's a hot take that each of you have about the filmmaking community here?
Ooh.
I get to use my golf analogy. You
You
want to go golfing with me?
I hate golf as much as I hate the
Well,
word.
that's not really going to work. But pay me.
Am I supposed to say yes?
Pay me. You want to go golfing with me? Pay me. Why can't we just go golfing as friends? That's my hot take on filmmaking. Why can't you just go make films with friends?
Mm-hmm. I think, just to kind of
I support that.
go back on that, I love both sides of it. There are certain people that are at a certain level of what they bring to a project.
There's professional golfers too.
Exactly. Exactly. And at that point, they, I believe, deserve to be paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you're that pro golfer is just going out to golf with his buddies,
mm-hmm.
he's not expecting to get paid to do that project. So I think it's the understanding of the two.
Yeah, and as long as the people involved understand what they're getting into, there shouldn't be a problem.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of people on the sidelines that are making a big deal of paid or unpaid work.
Yep.
When, to use my golf analogy, sometimes it's people who want to go out and do a thing, going out and doing that thing.
Right.
Let them do it.
But it's
Don't
also
get
people
involved.
that are willing, they want to go, 9 holes, but they are just going to putt-putt. And they're still paying for putt-putt. So it's like, really? Just go do the thing. So
Yes, my hot take, I guess, would be so when I was in college, if you asked me, like, way back then, is there a sharp line between, personal projects and not? I would have said, yeah, like personal projects, you write yourself, directed yourself, and there's also, if you direct something that you didn't write or didn't originate, that's just work for hire or work for favor, blah 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 blah. And I've done enough at this point where I've directed stuff I wrote, I directed stuff I co-wrote, directed stuff that was written by somebody else or written for me or what have you. There's not really like stuff. It kind of ends up all being kind of personal anyway because of the nature of if you're the director, that's you have to conceptualize the entire thing from beginning to end. You're working with everybody involved, and you end up with. And again, this is not get rich type of filmmaking. This is you're there because you're passionate about it. So you end up having personal experiences with the people you work with, no matter what. So my hot take would be more people who are interested in directing primarily or screenwriting primarily should be more open to working with in partnership instead of, it's all writer director. It's let people direct your scripts or be willing to direct scripts other people wrote because, well, for one thing, it's good for your skill set to be able to interpret somebody else's material or see it interpreted. Because I can remember the first time I had a script I wrote that I didn't direct, and stuff got changed in the filmmaking. And initially, I was standing there like, and then pretty quickly I realized, oh wait, that actually is for the best. Like the situation was I had written this. I was in Ireland for grad school. I had written a script, and all my dialogue was very American vernacular. The director and the actor were reworking it to fit kind of Irish, not Irish language, but like the Irish idioms, Irish vernacular, like it was like 5 seconds from like, how dare you change my lines? And then I go, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense because what I wrote would not sound right coming out of someone with a really thick Galway accent. So yeah, just it's good for your skill set. It's good to see what the process is like on the other side, but also it kind of helps you realize, like, again, like this is there's not really a dividing line between. Like it all ends up being kind of personal, no matter what. Like it's a craft, it's an art form, and it's a collaborative art form. So you're gonna have personal experience no matter what. So you might if you're really good at writing dialogue, but not the best at working with actors, or if you're really good at directing, but your dialogue, you have a George Lucas level of dialogue. It would be good to work with someone on the other half of that.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's a delicate balance there too, is because like one of my pet peeves when I see somebody post something about a project and they go, "Oh, my film. And I'm like, wait, it's made?" So, and this is just me being nitpicky about stuff and things like that. So like, I think we all agree a film is a collaboration once everybody's on set. So at that point, it's no longer my film after I've written it and given it to a director or given it to actors or anything like that. It's our film now.
Yeah. I do.
So like,
I do think to the extent you can say a movie is one person's, that's usually the director, sometimes the producer.
Right.
But it's only up to a certain point that you can say that. And it's like the possessory credit that was on a lot of movies, like a Quentin Tarantino film or a Steven Spielberg film. Like, not totally against that, but I've also I know Joe Dante and John Landis, so they don't see a need for that because it already says directed by their name. So why do I have to have it on there twice or three times?
Right. Well, and it also kind of depends on, like if you have like a Tarantino, which we know that he's got his hands in there, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes literally strangling his actress.
Yeah.
So like, people like that have a little bit more, in the whole mix, that person saying a Tarantino film.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But when we here in the independent world, we know most of our stuff is very collaborative.
Yeah.
The actors are given just as much as we're given. To me, it's one of those things that if I'm going to go start touting my movie and I only say my movie, am I kind of taken away from everything they did?
Yeah.
And that's just my personal opinion on it.
And
So
if you're the director or the producer, it's easy to say once it's finished. To say but if it's not even shot yet, then
exactly.
You can say it's your movie if it wouldn't happen without you.
Yeah.
If
Actually,
you are the driving force behind.
Like
you are the one that is making everything happen, it is your movie. No matter what other people you collaborate with, unless they're going to pick it up.
Right.
If you were to stop, then it can be theirs.
I like that.
But
Coppola had a comment about that, because he always used to do Mario Puzo's The Godfather, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I forget who wrote the book that the Rainmaker is based on, but he always put the author's as the possessory title. It originated from the book. He felt that to have it be Francis Ford Coppola's whatever, he would have to have originated the material. So that's why,
I like that.
Up until I think Tetro was the first movie he made that was Francis Ford Coppola's Tetro, Francis Ford Coppola's Twixt, and now Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, which I'm going to take a second to suggest everybody who likes filmmaking go see Megalopolis while you can, because it drives me nuts that there's people not only predicting but actively cheerleading for that movie to flop, which at this point it has. But for one thing, an 80-something-year-old man spending $120 million on a passion project is probably not, doing it to be number one at the box office. But what the hell are you going to do with 120? How would you even have the balls to spend 120 million if you had it to blow? And would you do anything as interesting or worthwhile or as public as making a movie instead of I'm going to go off to Vegas on a private jet? Anyway, it's a very filmmaker's movie, and it's a very
personal.
Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm Coppola.
I like it.
I didn't get all of it, but I loved it.
Well, this episode won't come out until towards the end of November.
Okay.
So is there anything that you guys would like to promote or pitch or just get ready for people to know about? Other than just stay out of your way filming in January?
You sure don't want to mention a certain streaming platform that
It's not ready to go.
okay.
So
Well,
No.
it's already open to purchases.
It exists.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, edit that part. Well, do you want to mention the and the link for fundraising? I'm deferring to him on this. He's the producer. So,
I mean, we're sponsored through NIFP for Truth and Darkness.
Okay.
Nice.
So if you guys are looking for tax deduction donation to help filmmakers, you can send them a check and stick Truth and Darkness on it.
Nice.
And that'll get to us.
Okay. Very good.
and we have the info on us and the film online somewhere. With
I'm sure
the
they
QR
have
code.
episode notes. We can get them.
Yeah, with the QR code. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll tag it somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Will, Nathan.
Mhm.
Everyone, that's been the Filmmakers Hangout Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Adioses.